I became an entrepreneur over 17 years ago, and I've generated over $30 million across my businesses. This is my full story, from hustling for almost a decade to then launching my first fitness Instagram company, my digital marketing agency, a restaurant, and also co-founding LinkMe, one of the fastest growing tech startups out of Miami with over a 200 million valuation. I was born July 29, 2000 in Montevideo, Uruguay. My father was from there, and I moved to Miami at 2 years old, thankfully as a US citizen. So extremely blessed by that, and that definitely saved me a lot of hurdles in this amazing life that I've been able to live. Both of my parents moved to the United States in their 20s with literally nothing to their name. A few years later, my parents moved back to Uruguay, had my brother, then had me 2 years later, and unfortunately got divorced at 2 years old when we moved to Miami. Living in Miami growing up was not sunshine and rainbows. I actually lived in, at the time, a very sketchy area in South Beach that was actually shared with a crack addict as well. He was nice, but wasn't the best environment that I had to grow up in. And that actually motivated me to become a hustler at such a young age and really just trying to do anything that I could so I can always have my own money for whatever it was. I never wanted to deal with the answer of we can't afford that, we can't get that. And that's what motivated me to start making my money literally from as young as I can remember. Seeing my dad struggle and be depressed due to finances basically for my entire life really motivated me to never stop until I could say that I helped my dad become a millionaire as well, which I've been actively in the process of doing. I invested over $350K into a restaurant that we have together, and hopefully when that sells, that dream will become true. One day I heard some older people talking about, how they can make money selling shoes. So I actually started to clean shoes so I can afford my first pair of shoes that I was gonna go out and camp out for. And that's exactly what I did. I cleaned about 12 pairs of shoes for $10 each, saved up 120 bucks, and then I was able to go camp for my first limited sneaker drop. And I remember reselling them for about double to triple the next day. And then I kept doing that, going to many sneaker conventions and all different type of stuff until I was around 14, 16. I really started focusing on selling tickets to events as well, like Rolling Loud, Ultra, and even throwing some of my own party buses, events, concerts. And that was one of the things that I was driven by until I came across my first Instagram business at 17 years old, which was transforming people's bodies. I was always in amazing shape due to the fact that I was an active soccer player throughout my entire business and entrepreneurial journey. So when I came across the idea of being able to transform people's bodies, I realized that this was a business that I can do year round, easily scale, because I already knew how to get results for myself. So it was something I was going to be able to do for other people. And that's what I went ahead and did. I never really had a dream college growing up, but my parents did have some sort of desire of wanting me to go to college. So they used to make me apply to schools, in Florida that were cheap. And so I did that, and I ended up getting accepted into the University of Florida, one of the top schools in Florida. However, I only lasted for about 3 months because I remember going to these classes, having to study for all these tests, and at the same time, I had a Shopify store with my fitness products. I was blowing up, getting sales every day. I was getting sales for my fitness business every single day as well, making thousands of dollars, close to $25,000 a month. So I showed that to my parents. I let them know they weren't going to need to support me. I was going to be able to pay my own rent, pay for an office, move to New York City. So that's exactly what I did. I remember walking into the admissions office and they told me, if you make this decision, there's a very high chance you won't get accepted again. And in the back of my mind, I had no doubt. I knew for a fact I was never going to try to apply to this school again or have any desire to go back to college. So I said, no problem, signed away. And I remember instantly traveling to LA to start feeling that entrepreneurial experience. And that's when I started my digital marketing agency. And I remember in the early days, I was just hustling it out, going door to door to different businesses, signing up restaurants, showing them my unique service. And then from there on, I built a sales team, started attacking the online market, started building affiliates, and I instantly scaled my company to tens of thousands of dollars per week. And then after that, it quickly started doing even $10,000, $20,000 in a single day. My marketing agency kept blowing up, generated over $1 million in the first year, and then multiple millions consistently every year after that. I remember telling myself, if I come back to Miami, I want to make sure that I can get myself a dream car. As I was building my marketing agency, it was just something I wanted to do. Even if I was living in New York City, I just wanted to know that I had a nice car. It's something that I can look at as an accomplishment. And when I go back to Miami, I'll have it there. So I remember on Christmas, going to Miami, was going by a bunch of gifts, literally at the Gucci store, buying Gucci store for all my family members. And then I went ahead and made my first purchase, which was a BMW M4. That was my first car. And at the time, I was still living in New York, so I threw a mastermind in Miami. I had it for the Miami mastermind, and then I left it there kind of collecting dust. But it was an amazing moment because I manifested getting that exact car, and I was able to come back and do that. Once my agency started to scale super fast and I was living in Miami, a bunch of people started to find out about me as one of the younger entrepreneurs that was actually becoming a multimillionaire, was actually scaling, had real results. And that's when two friends that I'd actually known a little bit growing up reached out to me and said, hey, we need a marketer to be the co-founder of our company. You're crushing it. So they had an idea, and I was the one that was gonna come, make it a reality, blow it up, bring all my additional value as well. And that's how I became one of the co-founders of LinkMe. I got equity in the company instantly for all the work that I was gonna be doing. I also invested in the company to get extra equity, and then I had a milestone plan based on my success to let me get more equity in the company. And that's exactly what I did. That was back in 2020. We started it from literally zero, and then now today we have a 200 million valuation and constantly growing, might be moving up to a bigger valuation soon as well. Now that I had a safety net like LinkMe where I knew I had stored up equity, I started diversifying my portfolio and investing in other things. I also bought a Lamborghini Urus, which a lot of people will say is a liability in 2022. In 2023, I bought a Model X Tesla as well, just to, mix up the miles and not put everything on the Urus. I also have a Richard Mille that I bought for myself. In 2023, I bought a $1.45 million 3-bedroom apartment in downtown. And I also invested nearly $200,000 into a multifamily investment that has since gone up a lot more than that original investment because it's been over 3 years and now it's actively being rented out, fully remodeled. And then I've also invested, of course, into crypto, stocks. You know how crypto has gone recently in my last video, but I've made sure to invest in other things so I always can have different seeds planted everywhere, and making sure that I constantly feel like I have a cushion built up around me so that really nothing can go wrong. In a year after launching my agency, I generated over $1 million, and a year after that, I became a liquid millionaire. That may be cool to say and all, but what I really want to show you is exactly the formula that I use to be able to achieve that. And it's really pretty simple. What I focused on was making sure that I had a high ticket service. That way, when I spend money on marketing, let's say I'm spending money on ads, I can spend $1,000 to acquire a client if my service is at least $1,500. So that allows you to scale a lot more. Then I made sure that I set it up to be monthly so that when I acquire that client, I can make sure that client pays next month, giving me more room to risk when I'm spending money on acquiring clients, whether that's with ad spend or some of our other unique in-house strategies that we do as well. The next thing I did, which not a lot of people agree with, is made a service that is really fit for everyone, which I do think does have a big benefit. I also made sure that my clients would refer me business because my service was so good. I would ask them to simply put me in group chats so that each client I get can bring me about 4 to 5 clients, if not more, per year, which does compound very, very fast. I also made sure I built a really, really good, reliable team. That way other companies can come and white label my services because I built an organization of over 300 employees and we have some of the best backend systems that they can come and leverage. And that's something extremely beneficial that I went on to do very early on, being the source, not just being a reseller in the industry. Another really cool business that I had that not many people knew about was in 2020 during COVID. I actually relaunched the fitness business that I had just for the e-commerce store aspect, and I sold over 26,000 units of a fitness product that I had. A lot of those sales actually came in just 1 month when I did some big influencer campaigns. What excites me the most about the current phase that I'm in is that I'm in a position where it's no longer about reaching that number goal. When they reach a certain level, like multimillionaire status, they want to get to 10 figures, they want to get to $1 billion status, etc. But the way that I'm living my life these days is I deploy a lot of time to my friends, family, really make sure that I have a balanced, structured life, while also making sure that I'm packing out my days and maximizing the most work output that I possibly can, because I truly believe that I'm extremely young, and even if I've achieved certain things, there's still so much more impact that I can possibly have on this world. And part of that impact is going to come from what I have financially to be able to offer and provide to the world. So I'm still in that grind mode where I'm treating every single day like I have zero. But in other occasions, in times when I have to spend time with family, friends, I'm very present in the moment, not actively thinking about work. And I've made sure that my businesses are systemized enough to where I don't always need to be involved, only by choice.